the material plane. The first era, year 340, Valenwood begins official trade relations with the Elysian Empire. 355, Clan Durini claims complete power in High Rock, driving back the Nords. 358, armies from Skyrim lead military campaigns against the Durini, but this only serves to give rise to anti-alien sentiment in Skyrim, as it loses more of its territory to Greater Brittany and the Durini. The Elysian Order is formed around this time. It is a monotheistic religion founded by an Imga named Moruk. It becomes the dominant political factor of the First Empire, or the Elysian Empire. Their doctrines are enforced throughout northern Tamriel. The remaining alien lordships in Cyrodiil are completely abolished, and the Order leads crusades against the other aliens, basically wanting to wipe out aliens forever, which is not what Elysia wanted. But they're religious zealots.
I can get behind that.
Okay. Around this time is Skyrim's War of Succession, which begins in 369 after High King Borgus dies and the Moot fails to elect a new ruler. This costly war lasts 51 years and sees Skyrim lose its remaining territories in Morrowind, High Rock, and Cyrodiil. The Elysian Order gives an ultimatum to King Lalorian. I'm just going to pronounce this as Lalorian, even though it's not exactly what his name. But anyway, King Lalorian Daimar, ruler of the last alien vassal states, Nalta in Cyrodiil. They issue this ultimatum to him in the year 374. They're basically like, leave or die. And those who leave go to High Rock, and those who stay are just massacred by the Order. The Yakutan Empire dissolves, and the Redguard people see almost 300 years of continuous civil war on Yakuta here. The Chimer and the Dwemer finally ally themselves. They finally get over their religious differences. They ally themselves and they drive the Nords out of Morrowind for good. The Nords will never claim territory in Morrowind for the rest of their history. Peace among their people flourishes as Dumak Dwarf King and Lord Indoril Nerevar become the leaders of the first council of Resdain. Dumak Dwarf King is the king of the Dwemer, obviously. Indoril Nerevar is the great warrior leader of the Chimer. The Dwemer clan, Rorkin, don't like this alliance. They're traditionalist atheists. They don't give a fuck about the Chimer still. It is said that their leader threw his mighty hammer, Volendrung, across Tamriel, promising to lead his people to wherever it fell. This land, it fell basically here. And that land officially gained the title Volenfell, which later becomes pronounced Hammerfell, because it is where the hammer fell. And that is where he...
I was like, that is so literal.
Yes, the Hammerfell is a very literal name. That is where the hammer fell.
They were like, let's not get it confused. Hammerfell is where hammer fell.
Yes.
They said, what should we name it?
In the year 461, Emperor Gorius is crowned in Cyrodiil. This coronation is attended by many famous people of the era, including Dumak, Lord Nerevar, and High King Yorick the White of Skyrim. It's basically like a royal crowning, a royal wedding, like a royal coronation in Britain. Fucking famous people were there. Year
Or like the Met
470.
Ball.
What?
Or like the Met Gala or something.
Yeah. Year 477, Clan Durini conquers High Rock and large parts of Skyrim and Hammerfell. A year later, Kjork the White is killed fighting in the Battle of Sungard against the Elysian Empire.
No.
King Rizlov Larik of Skingrad, which is a vassal state in Cyrodiil, routs an Elysian army led by Gorius as he attempts to reclaim the kingdom. This inspires other rebellions against the empire. So people are basically like, we're tired of the Elysian Order, bring back the 8 Divines, this is bullshit, I hate everything. So people are getting pissed at the empire right now.
Because like, this is bullshit.
Yeah. First era, year 482, sees the Battle of the Glenumbra Moors. which has the Durini completely drive the Elysian Order and the Empire out of High Rock, at the cost of much of their own power and military might. High King Hogue Mercalor dies in the fight, and his successor, an Atmoran named Ysmir Wulfharth, puts an end to the Elysian religion in Skyrim and reinstates the traditional Nordic pantheon. Now, Wulfharth is a bit of a badass, okay? He is what we call a Chad. He is called the Breath of Kine by his people because he had the ability to use the Thu'um like no other could. It's even said once that he swallowed clouds while leading his soldiers into battle so they could find the clear skies. And this is seen as a super powerful use of the clear skies shout.
No.
Yeah. So basically, the orcs, which most of them reside up here, right between High Rock and Skyrim. Most of them reside up there in a little place called Hrothgar, a little region called Hrothgar. The orcish god of death, Orki, calls for the power of Alduin, because he doesn't like Nords for some fucking reason. Alduin eats up the lifespan of the Nords, making them, basically humans live to about 80 to 100 years now. And also, every single Nord is reverted back to the age of 6. So yeah, they're all just a bunch of like little children right now.
Little babies.
And Ysmir's like, hey, Shor or Lorkhan, send down an avatar to defeat Alduin maybe, because fuck him. This is an avatar of Alduin we're talking about, not Alduin himself. So Shor does that, defeating Alduin's avatar. And in return, the orcs also gain a lesser lifespan. So they basically live as long as humans do now, because they were foolish and tried to cut down the orcs' lifespan.
Troll.
I had to whittle away because any animal cuddles makes John Ross sleepy.
Wulfharth learns a Thu'um that helps him return him and his people back into adults. But because of this, he grew older than everyone else. He basically gained so many years because he absorbed the years of his people and then gave them back, essentially. So he grows to an old, decrepit man and then fucking dies.
Rip.
Sometime after this, however, Shor remakes Wulfharth from his ashes, and Wulfharth's ashes become Shor's avatar. This makes him the first Shezarim, which is a mortal that carries a part of Shor or Lorkhan's spirit in him. First era, 498, Bretons gain power in High Rock, but they allow the Durini to retain control of Balthiera and the Adamantine Tower. Bretons are pretty chill with the aliens at this point. Jumping a few hundred years, first era, year 668, Red Mountain erupts.
Oh.
Red Mountain, as you remember, is the mountain at the center of the Isle of Vardenfell in Resdane, from Morrowind, as it soon will be called. In the year 700, a culmination of disagreements between the Chimer and the Glimmer ends in the Battle of Red Mountain. Dumak takes the tools of Kagrenak. Kagrenak is like the leading scientist of the dwarf people, and Kagrenak can work on these tools. He's got the Gauntlet Wraithguard, which you need to have in order to wield the other tools, or the other tools will just fucking kill you. So he makes the Gauntlet Wraithguard, he makes the blade Keening, and he makes the hammer Sunder. And these tools are basically, he made these so that he could manipulate the power of the Heart of Lorkhan, which lays at the center of Red Mountain. But he hadn't finished testing them yet. And Dumak takes these tools and he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna go do it. And Kagrenak's like, don't fucking do that, Dumak, I haven't tested that, okay? But Dumak doesn't listen. He uses the tools of Kagrenak on the Heart of Lorkhan. This causes every dwarf to disappear. They just have a complete Infinity War moment, and the dwarves disappear.
We got blue. Okay,
Yes.
I have a question. I do not know if you brought this up again yet, or if it's coming, but I've just been curious. Where did that like divine armor and sword and shit
The
go?
Crusaders' relics of
Yeah.
White Streak. They are essentially just disseminated. They're basically like kept as like honorable relics in the imperial city. Eventually, they will become important again, though.
Okay, because I'm like, I feel like that would have
Yeah,
been
you
used
think
in
you
one
think
of
that
these
people would want to
wars.
use those?
Yeah, I was like, these feel like that felt like useful useful ass tools. Where'd they go?
I know what you mean.
So yeah, during the Battle of Red Mountain, Dumak Dwarf King, against the advice of Kagranak, strikes the heart of Lorkhan, causing all the dwarves to disappear. There's a few theories about what happened here. One is that all of the Dwemer simultaneously achieved Kim. Kim is basically when you realize that you're in a video game. So basically, basically the main theory is all of the dwarves realized they were in a video game, they couldn't fucking take it, and they all disappeared.
They're in the Godhead.
They basically realized they were a figment of the Godhead's imagination.
And then like he woke up a little bit.
Another theory was that they became part of everything. So the dwarves never disappeared, they just were spread throughout all life and became part of everything.
One I heard was that they, like how the Red Guard traveled forward in time, they traveled forward in time to
Yeah,
another.
I like the idea that they just gave sentience and just went, uh-oh.
All three are really good ideas.
I don't think that one makes too much sense because Lorkhan is the god of space and he actually abhors time. So I don't know why striking this hard to cause a time burst.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like the other one, the other god is
How
just,
long have we been going?
I think an hour so far with the new recording. But like it's one of those things where it's like the other god out of spite was like, just move him.
But I definitely like
An hour.
I definitely like the idea that they just gave sentience and they were like,
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay, so sort of backtrack a little bit. The Nords were actually manipulated by a Chimer scholar named Dagoth to attack Red Mountain and help the Dunmer, or the Chimer, I'm sorry, help the Chimer defeat the Dwemer. So what's happening right now is basically when the heart is stricken. Remember Wolfhearth, the champion of fucking Shore? Wolfhearth returns to his ashes, and the Nords go back to Skyrim. It is said that Kine ascended Wolfhearth to the realm above, and the Nords worshipped him as a new god or a new part of the pantheon. This is not true. What actually happened is that since Wolfhearth had died before, he could never die again since he was risen again. He became a creature, a great lich called the Underking, who basically manipulated things from the shadows. He did a lot of good deeds. Like he was a lawful good lich, basically. And he basically did all these cool things under all these different guises. One of these guises was Talos Stormcrown, and we will get to that name later. This is very important.
I'm more of a chaotic girl. I'm more of a chaotic good girly myself.
But basically, eventually, Wolfhearth or the Underking comes to reside in High Rock.
Holy shit.
Okay, so what's happening with the Chimer? You guys know that they aren't around anymore, and you guys also know that the modern day Moorland is inhabited by Dunmer. Hopefully, you should know that. So,
Yeah.
okay. So basically, what happens is when they were planning the Battle of Red Mountain, Lord Indral Nerevar went to his closest friends. He's like, okay, Dagoth you're the best scholar I know, my homeboy. You get the Nords. You get the Nords in here. We're gonna fuck the Dwemer up with the Nords. He goes to Vivek, the warrior poet. Vivek and Indral Nerevar, they grew up together on the street as like kids. And they were basically just a bunch of rapscallions back in the day, like some real Aladdin types. They would get up to no good. He's like, all right, Vivek, you got my fucking back. You are awesome. He goes to his hot wife, Almalexia, and he's like, bitch, you're so fine. You're chill and everything. I want you commanding armies, basically. Because she was a very talented warrior. And finally, Sotha-Seal. And Sotha-Seal, out of all of the Chimer that existed, Sotha-Seal spent the longest with the Dwemer. He learned their ways, he learned what they were doing, he learned about tonal architecture, which is manipulating the natural way of things through music instead of magic. He learned about the mechanisms.
He learned how to be a bard.
That's what Dwemer.
Kind of like an intelligence-based bard, I guess you could say. He basically spent so much time with the dwarves. He learned their ways and basically knew so much about them. So he was like, "You're going to be my advisor on this. You're gonna help me know what to do." So something happens here. Something happens in the Battle of Red Mountain, which results in the death of Lord Nerevar. There are conflicting stories on what happens here. Dagoth will tell you that Lord Nerevar betrayed him and tried to take the tools of Kagranak for himself.
Anyways.
official story that is told by the tribunal, or Vivek, Sothasil, and Almalexia, the official story told by them is that Dagoth betrayed Lord Nerevar. Okay? And the hidden story.
Do you see what she's doing right now?
What am I doing?
Okay, sorry. She's just hanging upside down. I think it's ridiculous.
But yeah, the second story of events perpetrated by Vivek, Sothasil, and Almalexia is basically that Dagoth betrayed Lord Nerevar, Indra. And they're like, not cool, right? Fuck Dagoth, am I right, guys? And the sort of hidden secret that Vivek sort of hides in his lessons. There's a series of books called the 36 Lessons of Vivek. And basically, there's a message in there. And if you decode the message, it's basically Vivek confessing, like, actually the three of us killed Lord Nerevar. So what is the sort of the most accurate version of history is Sothasil seduced Almalexia and Vivek. They had like a threesome. And like afterward, like Sothasil was just kind of like smoking. He's like, you want to like betray Lord Nerevar and blame it on Dagoth and then we can take the power of the Red Heart ourselves.
You hate that guy Nerevar. Hoarding that shit.
So yeah, basically what happens is Vivek, Almalexia, and Sothasil, their plot succeeds. Dagoth becomes ostracized, and they bask in the power of the Heart of Vorkon, which turns them into living gods. And they're like, you know those good Daedra that Saint Beloth told us to worship? Fuck them. We're better than them. They did what the Dwemer wanted to do. The Dwemer wanted to become gods. Vivek, Sothasil, and Almalexia basically became living gods. And they were like, fuck the Daedra. We agree with the Dwemer now. We're cooler than them. And Azura was not having any of this.
Girl boss said no.
Azura cursed the Chimer and the people, and turned them into like all sort of ash-skinned, dark-haired, red-eyed elves. They are called the Dunmer, or the Dark Elves nowadays. What Almalexia completely rejects